Oh, so pretty. Let's make some romance. First of all, if the camera shakes, I'm going to apologize. I reworked my workspace, been rearranging and moving things around, and so right now my camera holder thingy is attached directly to my table instead of sitting beside it. So now every time I touch the table, the camera's going to shake. But I will get that sorted out hopefully before the next video. This time we are going to work on some romantic Valentine's Day stuff. I'm using Primo. I've got white pearl, graphite pearl. I'm going to make a Skinner blend with these two colors, but I don't want like a 50-50 blend because I'm afraid that the graphite will take over the pearl. So I'll show you what I'm going to do. Just getting this trimmed up nice here. Alright guys, so what's been going on with y'all? What y'all been up to? Tell me down in the comments how your, how your year is starting off. I don't know what that is unless it's probably that off my blade. Looks like I got some rust on my blade. But yeah, tell me what's going on and how your new year is starting off and what you plan to do this year. All that good stuff. Okay, this doesn't have to be perfect. I don't know why I'm fiddling with that so much. I think I only want, like I said, if I wanted 50-50, I would go from this corner to this corner, but I definitely don't want 50-50. So I'm gonna say maybe about probably about right there maybe. And if it's not enough, I mean, I could always add to it later. Easier to add more to it than to take away, because if the graphite does overtake the white pearl like I think it's going to, then it would be really hard to, if I added enough pearl to straighten it back, to get it where I wanted, then I would have this big, and I don't want a whole lot of this. Before I start running this through the pasta machine, one thing to keep in mind is this is what I'm going to be using. I am going to make a Sutton slice with this. So I want to control the width of this blend. During the rest of this video, I suddenly got super stuffy and started snipping a lot. Didn't realize it. I'm sorry. Okay, periodically I'm going to stop and check it against this. And right now it's exactly where I want it to be. For now, I'm going to set this aside and I'm going to condition up some black clay. And it needs to be conditioned extremely well. So I'm going to work on that and then we'll come back for the next step. I've got my black clay all conditioned. This clay is it's pretty fresh and it's a little bit on the sticky side, which is even better. I'm going to do a Sutton slice. That's what this is for. If you've never done a Sutton slice before and you want to try it, you need a fairly deep texture. I mean, this one is not like super deep, but it is deep enough to do this. It's also better to have kind of like a big pattern. Like, you don't want a really fine line pattern. You can do it with a fine pattern. It's just a little bit harder. So if you're just starting out, find the deepest texture sheet you can with the like the biggest open spaces. That's going to be your best bet. Just making sure that this clay is nice and warm. my blended sheet, I rolled it out thinner than it was. And I've already got it over here on the side. It's attached to a tile. And that's going to be ready to go. Alright, so I'm going to take little pieces like this. And then, oh, I got something in here. I looked it over and made sure it was clean, but I guess I missed that spot. Okay. Find a place to start and squish it in. Do the squish, squish, squish. And get a flexible blade. Take off the excess. And then that just leaves it down in the recesses. And you might be thinking, okay, well, can you just take a thin sheet of this, lay it over, push it all in, shave it all off? No. I've tried it. Yeah, doesn't really work that way. You just have to do small places at a time. And there are going to be times that you're going to pull it back up out of there. There are going to be times that when you go to shave it off, the whole, you know, way more than you want comes out. But that's just part of this technique. It is not the easiest technique in the world to do. But like anything else, with a little bit of practice, not a big deal. And it's not that hard to do, even for the first time. Okay, I don't know if you can tell on it. See, yes, see, that's wanting, and it pulled this up. It's wanting to stick to my fingers. So what I'm gonna have to do is get some lotion. Put some lotion on my fingers, because it's just, like I said, this clay is pretty sticky and it's wanting to stick to my fingers. Another thing, if it's sticking to your fingers, first you need to clean all the clay off them, because if you have clay residue on your fingers, then the clay that you're working with is going to want to stick to that residue on your fingers. Alright, so I've got that. Get my lotion. Sorry about my squeaky chair. Squeaky, squeaky. There. Got a little too much of the excess off. Try again. See if it works a little better this time. And when you're pressing it in, kind of slide it, smear it. Missed a little spot right there. Or maybe that was just the light. Maybe it just looked like I missed a spot. And that's pretty much all I can think of to tell you right now about doing this. So I will just carry on. Okay, I've got it filled up. I'm gonna check it over very close, make sure I didn't miss any spots, and make sure I don't need to take more of the clay off, like make sure I got it clean. There's a few things that I forgot to mention. When you're shaving it off, you've got to make sure that you get all of it. See, there's a little bit left there, because this will, if you have any left where it's not supposed to be, it will show on your final product. It'll show on the other clay. So I've got to make sure that I get this nice and clean. Another thing is, I forgot to tell you that you need to use a very, very flexible texture. Like, this needs to be really flexible. Another thing, you don't want to use your sharpest blade, because you don't want to cut your texture. So just make sure that you go at as shallow of an angle as you can, because if you go to a deep angle, you're more likely to cut it. And don't press too hard, especially doing this final cleanup here. I'm just going nice and easy, very let's see, I went a little bit too deep that time. I didn't cut my texture, but I did take too much of my clay off. That's another reason you want to go really shallow. Looks like I missed a spot here. You notice I got my ball tool out about halfway through, and that did help. I was glad I thought to use that, especially because these joints here, my fingers were getting really sore from all the back pressure on them. Seems like I've got one more shallow spot here. And I don't want to leave these shallow spots, which I think part of the reason that's causing that is because this texture is like so stretchy. And that's why too, at the beginning I said smear it in, but that will not work with this texture. This particular one is just too stretchy for that. You just have to push it in. And I've got a piece of glitter here. Glitter is all over everything still from Christmas. And like I said, I've rearranged my workspace and everything, and like deep cleaned and all that stuff, and there's still just glitter. Glitter. I mean, I'm all for glitter and stuff, but not where I don't want it. And with clay, it's always going to get in the places that you don't want. That's why I really don't work with glitter a whole lot, because it drives me crazy when I get glitter on a piece of clay and there's just that one little piece of glitter just shining bright for everybody to see, and it's the only one and it's not supposed to be there. That drives me crazy. And I will show you in the next step here. Alright, I'm going to lay that down. Press it down a little. I may stand up to do this. I don't know. I'm starting out very gentle because I don't want to move the texture sheet. And like I said, this one's pretty squishy and stretchy. So I'm adding a little bit more pressure now. Adding quite a bit of pressure now. Going from different directions. I want to make sure that we get What I'm doing is I'm sticking, I'm going to stand up so I add a little bit more pressure, but I always stop in the middle of sentences to say something else. I'm sorry, y'all. But I've got to make sure that that black clay that's in the texture makes good contact with this clay, because the whole point is for the black clay to stick to this clay. Let's see if it's stuck. Take one end here. Okay, it looks like we're doing good. So I'm going to start peeling this back. But as I do, I'm going to see how I've got this folded back. I'm not just peeling it from here. I want to fold it back and very slowly, very gently, just kind of roll it, peel it back. Trying to keep this part here, this edge here, as flat as I can. As I'm pulling it back though, I'm looking to make sure that none of the clay is still stuck in the texture. Because if I did have a piece, say this piece here was stuck, I could go back, up, put pressure, and then pull back again. So I'm going to do it real slow. Make sure everything's coming out like it should. With this particular texture, I have done a Sutton slice with this several times, and these little lines here are the hardest part. They're the ones that sometimes the space doesn't get filled, or they don't want to come out of the texture. Guys, I can't believe this. I think it's actually gonna be a perfect peel. Yes! I don't think I've ever gotten a perfect peel before. And I forgot to tell you that filling this up, I was gonna tell you how long it took to fill this, you know, get the texture ready. And that's a small texture, y'all. I mean, it really is not very big, but it took about 20 minutes to get it filled and shaved. But I don't think I've ever gotten a perfect peel before. Yes, that's nice. Okay, now I gotta do it all again. Okay, I've got the sheet filled up for the second time. I feel like I didn't do as well this time as I did the first time. But a couple of things. This time did not go as well because, look, well, I can't get them all. Anybody know what that is? Yep, pieces of my texture sheet. So, you see why I say be careful with your blade. I went a little too deep right there. I gouged into it and cut part of the texture, which is going to make this really hard to use. It's, you know, that make that area hard to use next time. So that's why I said be careful with your blade. We all know that polymer clay tools and supplies are way too expensive to have to be replacing them all the time, right? Another thing I forgot to tell you is that this technique was developed by Lisa Pavelka. This is her technique, and there is a video somewhere here on YouTube because I've seen it before. It's been a while, but I know I've seen it. But there's a video here somewhere on YouTube of her demonstrating the technique, and so I will look for that, and if I find it, I will link it somewhere in the description box or something, because obviously she's going to be able to teach you a whole lot more about this technique than I can. Alright, so I'm going to get back to finishing this, and then I'll come back when it's time for the next step. Okay, I'm back with the mostly finished pieces here. Got my flowers done. If you would like to see how I made these roses, go have a look at the Pot of Roses collection. I'll have it linked in the description or at the end of the video. I do plan on eventually doing a tutorial dedicated to how I do my roses, because I feel like I do them quite a bit differently than most polymer clay artists do, so I'd like to show you how I do those. This is a very, very small collection. I had planned, there was going to be another pair of earrings, but I had a little mix up, and that's what happened. Your earrings should always be a mirrored image, not identical. So yeah, I dropped the ball on that. I think what happened was because I had cut them out in different places, you know, I had the two different Sutton slice slabs on my tile, and like, you know, I cut one up here and one down here, and I think I just got confused and just didn't pay close enough attention. So yeah, this piece, I could have made 2 pendants out of this, but all of my pieces are one of a kind, so this one will go in the scrap bucket. What I did here was I took a piece of wire, bent it, put it down inside of here, and then added the back. Oh, it's got something on. I still have to add my signature. I've done this in another video. If you would like to see how I made my little hangers there, you can go take a look at the faux ceramic Easter crosses, and I'll show you how I did that in that video. Almost finished here. I'm going to use my extruder to make an edging for this. I think they would look nicer with a finished edge on them, but instead of doing a round edge, I'm going to do a flat one. Use this disc here and make my extrusions. Some adhesive. I think I'll just make a little pile right here. If you use the Sculpey Bacon Bond, always store it upside down. It makes it a lot easier to come out. I just store mine in this little glass jar right there. Okay, y'all, I broke my fingernail. I'm so sorry. I would have redone my nails before filming this, but I just didn't have time this time. I've got to get this done so that I can put them up for sale for Valentine's Day. So just didn't have time. Okay, I've got my adhesive on there. It's best to let this sit for a few minutes so that it gets a bit tackier. The longer it sits, it doesn't really, well, I guess it does kind of dry out, but it doesn't really dry out. It just gets tackier, and your whatever you're adding to it will stick better. I'm getting it all over the back, and I don't want it over the back because you'll be able to see it once it cures. So I'm gonna take some alcohol on a wipe. Now I can do this just with my fingers here, or lay it down on the table and go around. But because this has a little hump right here where the wire is inserted in there. I think I'm better off just to do it with my fingers. I think I'll get it more even that way. And I'm going to try this. This may not work. I may have to start up here. But what I'm thinking I can do is just go in the center of this and just kind of push it around the wire. Let's see if that works. Yeah, that worked. I mean, obviously I got to clean it up, but that worked pretty good. And I left plenty of room. Like if I wasn't edging this, I wouldn't have left this much wire sticking out. But I did that so that it would be sticking out far enough once I added the edge. So you have to keep that in mind if you're going to be adding other things to it later, you know. All right, so get down here. It'd probably help if I put it where you could see it. Right here, and try and cut it at that same angle. And I'm going to put just a little bit of adhesive right here. This right here, I've got to make I do have to work on this. I got to make my hole a little bigger there. I want it to look nice and neat. Take my blade and kind of scrape that down a little. I decided to go ahead and smooth this in, blend it in. It was kind of messy right here, and so I decided to just go ahead and blend it all in. And it does look messy right now, but I will smooth it out with my finger. This has a texture on it, so I will probably add a texture right here also so that it blends in better. And I'm just gently going around with my little tool here, just gently blending it in, and trying to remember not to squish it with my fingers on the front side like I just did. I think I can smooth that out though. Have to be careful with the fingers on the front. While I'm smoothing this out, there's something I want to remind you of and mention to you. Making videos is expensive, guys. It takes a lot of time. The equipment is expensive for the filming stuff and the editing software and this and that. Plus, I have to have materials to do the tutorials with. And it takes time away from my business. So, if you enjoy my content, I wish you would consider donating. I do not make money from YouTube at this point because my channel is not big enough. So, if you enjoy my content, please consider donating. My PayPal donate link is up at the top of my channel, and it will also be in the description box of this video. Every little bit helps, y'all. And with my link, you can also set up a recurring payment if you want to, monthly or every 2 weeks or whatever you want to do. And I know it doesn't seem like much, but just $1 or $2 a month really helps if enough people do it, or $1 or $2 each video. But yeah, and even if you don't have a PayPal account, you can still use that link to donate. You don't have to have a PayPal account. And I would really, really appreciate that, guys. And I hope that you enjoy and appreciate my content. I know I'm still working out the kinks. You know, it's a lot to learn. A lot to learn. Almost got this done here. I'm thinking I like this better. Yeah, I like this better. So I'll do that on the rest of them too. I just need to add a little bit of texture right through here so it doesn't look quite so different from the back, you know, from this part. And add my signature. And make sure I don't have any adhesive on the front side. I think it looks pretty good. I love the little rhinestones that are kind of hidden down in here. Gives it a little extra oomph. I don't know if you can tell or not, but there's some tiny ones right in here too. Alright, let me get the rest of them finished up. For more polymer clay content, go check out this playlist here. And here's a look at the finished jewelry. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Okay, thanks. Bye.